Hi everybody, welcome back to my 100 Spotify Wrapped OC series. If you're new, this is the series where I take one song from my Spotify Wrapped of 2025, and then each week I turn it into a new character. This week is song number 27. It is Orion by Ghost Ship. Ghost Ship is a Christian, I guess, indie band. I guess they count. They came out of Mars Hill Church. Whether you're Christian or not, you may have heard some things about Mars Hill Church. I'm gonna get it out of the way right now that I don't like them, don't endorse them. However, their youth group had a music wing, and 2 musical groups came out of that I do enjoy. To get onto the song itself, it is a song based on the Book of Job, biblical Book of Job. That book is a long, winding narrative in which characters with difficult to pronounce and remember names wax poetic about the nature of life and suffering in an effort to answer the problem of pain. Wait, no. That's the Brothers Karamazov. Job is a long and winding narrative in which different characters with difficult to remember names wax poetic about the nature of life and suffering in an attempt to answer the philosophical question of the problem of pain. And so the premise of the song is about, where is God in my suffering? The Christian answer is that God is still with you even when you're suffering, but it's okay if you don't feel like that, you know? Like, your feelings don't have to match reality 100% of the time. That's kind of the fun thing about them. But I wanted to focus on the trait of God that is like a guardian or a caretaker for the character associated with this song. I'm not trying to represent God or make a God in this exercise. I think I'm going to make more of like a guardian angel type of thing to signify that the forces of good are still guarding over you and watching over you even when things are going poorly. A huge biblical metaphor is the idea of a shepherd protecting his sheep. And I really like the specific breeds of dogs that were bred to be livestock guardian dogs. The Anatolian Shepherd is one of them, but there are many. So I kind of would like to make like an angel dog for this video. Something like simple, something comforting. So that's what I'd like to make for this video. So I know I mentioned the Anatolian Shepherd in the intro, but I looked up some other kinds of shepherd dogs just because I was curious what else there is. I ran into one called a Karst Shepherd. It's characterized for its iron gray coat, which I thought was cool. I think the idea of like an angel with gray wings would be interesting because they're always white, which I get is like supposed to be symbolic of purity. I think angels can be whatever color they'd like to be. I mean, many of these shepherd dogs look very similar. They've all got kind of the long, more wolfish snout, kind of short, floppy ears with a lot of fur on them. I would imagine that's good because you can't get bit on the ear if it's not a very big target. And the very long, almost like a mane, which keeps attacking creatures from getting your jugular. I really like the way that shepherd dogs are like kind of designed. They're just very cool. I do want to give it one of those spike collars if I can. If a shepherd dog doesn't have the big mane, it'll often have a ton of loose skin around the neck, so it may have like a short coat, but it's easy for it to kind of maneuver if something has grabbed its neck. So it's a lot easier to see with that kind of dog. That's really the only drawback of choosing a long furred shepherd here, but that's okay. And I've been trying to get better at drawing front legs. I always draw like a long oval here, like it's an arm, but it's really more like there's like a triangle with one point at the chest, one point at the shoulder blade, and one point at the elbow, and then another triangle. Like a lot of animals have more of like a triangular arm going on than the human cylinder to get to the elbow, cylinder to get to the hand. You know what I mean? This picture makes it kind of easy to see exactly how that triangle works. And then the back leg is a triangle kind of pointing the same direction, but this is the knee. That looks good. Okay, cool. I love it when dogs have like eyebrows, so I'm just gonna draw the eyebrows on. This dog has like a really kind face. I think the eyebrows are maybe a little bit too much. We'll leave them for now. We'll see how I feel. I'll draw a couple more iterations. And then the wings, I'm gonna have them attach. It really makes sense for them to attach above the shoulder, so. I'm hoping it reads pretty clearly that this is like the outer side of the wing that's been folded over. Maybe I'll shade it a little bit to show that it's darker. And then the underside of the wing can be light. I love drawing wings. I'm not great at explaining how wings should be drawn. My number one tip is just to look at birds. Like, watch slow motion videos of birds flying, of them roosting, of them preening. If you want to be good at drawing wings, you're gonna have to develop like a sixth sense eventually of just roughly how the shape moves. And I'm not by any means claiming I'm there. These are a little bit janky, but I am really proud of them. And I literally was like, I want to get good at drawing wings when I was 13, and I'm almost 30 now, so I've still got a ways to go. It takes time. You just have to be patient with yourself. I did want to go on a little bit of a theology rant. I will try to make it accessible, even if you don't really necessarily care about like Christian teachings or the Bible, but I have this kind of pet peeve. It feels like a lot of people make the claim that nobody in human history suffered more than Job except for Jesus Christ. Like, I often will hear that kind of passed around at church or in sermons or whatever, and I'm always kind of like, huh? Like, where does the Bible say that? I think it's kind of a shallow understanding and a silly thing to say for a couple reasons. First of which is that I don't think you can really quantify suffering. I don't think you can say, oh, this person suffered more, this person suffered the most. I do think you could perhaps say that in the case of Jesus. I think he suffered more than any human being, like just mortal human being in history, because he was innocent on a total level and yet condemned as if he had done everything ever deserving of death, like in the spiritual sense. You could probably say that about Jesus, but when it comes to people, I don't think there's a sliding scale. And furthermore, there have been such people throughout history and even today as child brides, industrial factory workers, people with chronic debilitating illnesses that don't go away the way that Job's did. So I think it's a little bit dismissive to imply that they're not suffering as much as Job, because often those people can come away with the understanding that they are not as important to you then as Job or whatever, or that their suffering is not as meaningful as his was. And that's a load of bunk. I think one of the really immature things about Job's friends throughout the book is that they not only assert this understanding of like where suffering comes from and why we suffer. They have a very, very black and white mentality of suffering. They think that if Job is suffering, it must be because he did something wrong. Maybe he made God angry. That's why he's suffering. He just needs to repent and then he'll stop suffering. What's really, truly harmful is I hear churches and individuals imply that today. They don't say it in those words because they know how scummy it would sound for them to outright say that, but it is like a really sad and pervasive mindset, even in the Christian church, even in secular culture, because we want to understand why suffering happens as a species and as individuals. We want to find ways to keep ourselves safe from it. You know what I mean? Like, if there's a formula for suffering, put one thing in, get another thing out, then just don't put the things in the life machine that give out suffering, right? The idea also kind of comes through in victim blaming. This idea that somebody somehow is a little bit at fault for a horrible thing that happened to them because they must have, on some level, tipped the scale against themselves. That's not always true. It's almost never true, I really feel, in my experience. And so I'm not going to try and assert that I know what the point of the book of Job is, because that would make me really know better than Job's friends. But I think part of what we're supposed to take away from it is that knowing things and understanding things isn't going to save you from hardship, and trying to make sense of hardship is like still a good thing to do. It's especially good to think back on your own actions if you and others are now struggling because of a decision you made. Like, I'm not saying you should never ever take any responsibility if something bad happens, because there is sometimes a chance that it was your fault or that you could have done things better for next time. But I do think, like, where Job's friends failed to be his good friend and to understand the way things work was in their insistence that they did understand everything, that their understanding of God perfectly explained suffering and its purpose and its reason, but they almost knew nothing. They didn't know how to help the person that was hurting, you know? That's what they needed to know how to do. Above all else, you should know how to comfort and how to be a good friend and come alongside others. They don't need you to explain to them why something bad has happened as much as they just need a person with them. So I'll get off my soapbox now, but that's the one pet peeve I have about Job. When people teach it or talk about it, they often are like, yeah, like, he suffered the most. And they mean it, they also mean it in a good way. They mean it to comfort the people they're talking to. They're like, oh, at least you're not suffering as bad as Job. But you don't know that. You can't know that. Like, you're as good as Job's friends if that's your only thing you can tell someone who's going through a hard time. Anyways, I welcome disagreement. I would love to have conversations in the comments about this sort of thing. And now I've drawn a couple things for this dog. So here's kind of the base of the dog. I am going to color him in. I feel like a large part of the design is the color and pattern of the coat for this type of dog. So we will ink and then we will color. This episode's artist inspiration is Andreas Sernov. He is a freelance artist. He works digitally in painting and sculpting, and the first work of his I ever saw is called Evening Traffic, and I was hooked from that point onward. He has a way of capturing the beauty in urban landscapes that is really difficult to actually execute, at least for me every time I've tried. But he is able to put light and shapes on the page in a way that makes them very interesting. It kind of feels like looking at the world with your glasses off at night. In my research for this video, catching up with what he's done and looking through his art station, I found out he also was a concept artist on a video game called Jusant, and the scenery in it is very fantastical, very gargantuan. I've noticed that in some of Andre's works, he will focus on giant figures, giant monoliths, in a very cool, engaging way. I am focusing mainly on his urban works just to showcase within this video, but definitely check out his art station. He has a ton of different variety on there. What I find interesting and aspirational about his work, probably the most, is the lighting that he uses and the compositions he chooses. They're very interesting. He's the kind of artist where it's just easy to tell how much time he's put into his craft when you look at even one of his works in isolation. So that is Andreas Sernov. He's very cool. I've linked his ArtStation profile in the description for you to go check out more of his work. To finish it off, I think I'm going to give this dog yellow eyes, like golden eyes. Instead of a halo, it'll just have golden eyes. I don't know why I did that there, but now it's there. So here is our dog, our guardian dog for Orion by Ghost Ship. He is based on a Karst Shepherd. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll come back next week for the next character. There will be 100 of these, give or take, by the time I'm done. I have had to use one skip so far out of the 5 I'm allowing myself, but many of my characters have been 2-character sets, so I think we'll still end up with around 100 characters. The long-term goal for this project is to raffle the characters off for charity, so you will purchase raffle tickets by donating X amount of money to a chosen charity, and then you'll be entered into a drawing and you can get characters. If you liked this video, please come back again and enjoy the other content I've made, and I hope to continue making these on a regular schedule, so I upload every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time.